Hello, friends. Brian from the channel Brian, here today to review the sophomore effort from filmmaker Darius Marder, Sound of Metal. Sound of Metal is a drama that chronicles a drummer who is half of a metal music duo experiencing sudden rapid hearing loss. Obviously, this puts a bit of a damper on his career path and forces him to choose a way forward. When the movie A Quiet Place came out, deaf representation in cinema became the hot topic for about a week because there's an absence of movies out there that approach deafness through more than maybe a token gimmick character. For Sound of Metal to be a respectful, accurate portrayal of deaf experiences is a good start, but for the role the deaf community plays in this story to be the size it is really something else. I think the thoughtful script by Marder and Derek Cianfrance steer Sound of Metal into being a great movie. In the wrong hands, this story presented the risk of being a little exploitative, a little Hallmark Channel-y, but they found a way to make it work. It is so emotionally effective. Riz Ahmed is fantastic in this. Ahmed's been on the up and up for a while now, but he's always found himself in kind of crowded movies that work against him standing out. Or, they were Venom. This is his best performance, and a definite contender for Performance of the Year. I'm glad this is a film that will hopefully get people to take him seriously. Olivia Cooke notably has less to do, but she's still indispensable for the movie's emotional core. Their relationship is one of the more authentic, natural portrayals of on-screen chemistry I've seen in quite a while. It's a more subdued flavor of character writing than, say, Marriage Story, where the characters are realistic, but in a way that's so perfectly calculated you're still aware of the screenwriter carefully poring over the words they say. Whereas I feel like I could have a conversation with these characters. I feel like I know the people in Sound of Metal. The real boon of this film is it never forgets the tenderness of these people and the situations they go through. This is true of the entire movie, but it's clearest when observing these two performances by Ahmed and Cooke. Ahmed especially, I feel, is given so many opportunities to fall back on melodrama, but never once takes the easy outs that are presented to him. Every second you can see the gears turning inside his head. He's not posturing. This role is not a statement of ego. It's because of the respect in his performance the film can capture the realist parts of grief that come with a development like hearing loss that's such a total upheaval of one's life. That delicate balance between trying to adjust as you move forward versus pining for a happiness you can't return to. The costs of that process, the swallowing of pride, the effects that has on you and the people around you reframe your entire life. While that theme doesn't have to be about deafness, I think it's to the film's benefit that it is, due to the technical opportunities that presents. Many points of the movie are framed as if you're hearing what Ahmed's hearing, and his hearing loss is taken into consideration, that the only audible sounds are the really bassy vibrations one would feel as opposed to hear. The sound editing in the rest of the film is pretty standard, but it's these sequences that are the most impressive and help you empathize with him the best. In terms of using deafness in the story, sometimes the film is a little inconsistent with its use of subtitles. I understand wanting to put in subtitles because the film has a lot of people communicating with sign language, but the film typically gives enough context for you to understand what a character is saying without them. There aren't enough times where this isn't the case that the story benefits from breaking that consistency. At first I was impressed with the decision to forego subtitles completely and how well they were pulling it off, but then there are a few times where subtitles are used, and I'm not really sure why. Sound of Metal is a perfect example of a film that is fantastic in a select few areas and merely functional everywhere else. It's not a movie I think has a whole ton to discover aside from the obvious standouts in the performances and sound design, but that's easier for me to forgive when you consider how each element had to be in the exact right place for it to be so respectful and impactful. You don't need to do homework or pore over a movie multiple times for it to be good, but Sound of Metal just feels like something I will appreciate the exact same things, the exact same amount, no matter how many times I watch it. Even if it truly does never get any better, I'm satisfied with that consistency in a movie already as good as this is. I'm thinking a pretty high 7 for this film. Well, hey, if you liked this movie more than me, less than me, and you care to, please tell me. Anyway, if you like not only words, but the way I arrange and then say them, please consider subscribing to me, Brian, from the channel Brian. Thank you, and goodbye.